This is Lore of the Internet, and you're watching some of the best things said under gas. I was semi-awake during hand surgery. The only person I could see was the anesthesiologist. I remember telling him some jokes while I lay there. Then I remember hearing the doctor chuckle on the other side of the curtain, followed by, "Would you put her the fuck out?" and then blackness. I often have wondered if my hand would work better now if I weren't so damn hilarious. Not an anesthesiologist, but I was a tech. Had a patient wake up violently. When he came to, he said, "Sorry, I thought I was a shark." Gassed up shark, do. I'm so sorry. Not an anesthesiologist, but my tight-laced, extremely Christian great-grandma apparently asked, "Who the fuck is that ugly son of a bitch?" while she was waking up from a surgery. The person she was referring to? Her preacher, who'd stopped by to check on her. She never lived that one down. The story was even told at her funeral. She was kinda strict, but she was a great lady with a great sense of humor. When I came out of surgery at 14, I told everyone I was fine and just felt like Gatorade. Mom got it for me, opened the lid, and handed it over. I took it, and maintaining direct eye contact with her, I tipped it upside down, nowhere near my mouth. Got Gatorade all over me and was super confused. That's where my memory ends. Mom tells me that after looking briefly confused, I shrugged and settled back down and fell asleep. I had surgery last year, and when waking up, they had a communal room where around 7 to 8 people would all be waking up around the same time before being sent to individual rooms for some reason. I remember waking up slowly and hearing someone else being asked if they wanted some water. For some reason, this really excited me. Like, there was nothing more in the entire world that I wanted to be asked if I wanted water. I practically yelled, as much as I could yell in that state, "Hey, ask me if I want water." I'm pretty sure it came out in a "let me speak to your manager" tone, but I was so excited about the water. My anesthesiologist tried to calm me down with a joke when I was a little kid being put under. My mom later told me about how I apparently commented on the joke being not at all funny and how I hoped he was more talented as a doctor. Jesus, kid's savage. Anesthesiologist here. I was once transporting a patient to the ICU after surgery in which he got some ketamine, and he was rocking out the entire way there with his air guitar. Squeal, 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 squeal. I'm an anesthesiologist. I was recently taking care of a 17-year-old kid, and he looked at me and says, "Dude, I'm high as fuck." They almost never remember it afterward. Two of my fave, both patients coming out of anesthesia. Am I in hell? I responded, "No, you're not. You're just in recovery." That sounds like something the devil would say. Count backwards from 100 to prove it. Or the one who stroked my unshaved arm while I was trying to keep him from pulling at his IV and muttered, "You'd make such a great carpet." Not anesthesia, but I was heavily sedated in the ICU. Nurse gave me an enema, half-conscious response, "Honey, you know I don't like it that way." I was the patient. After I had my wisdom teeth removed, I remember trying to drink some water and spilling it all over myself and then crying, asking, "Who took my water?" In high school, I had a reconstructive surgery on my knee as I tore my ACL and meniscus in a sports injury. After the surgery, I woke up in post-op, which was a fairly large room with about 6 to 7 other patients in beds waiting to become conscious again. I was laying there all groggy and confused when 2 nurses walked over, pushing one of those carts with a computer on it. They stood over me and were typing into the computer when one of the nurses said to the other in sort of a frantic whisper, "We gotta plug this thing in or this one's gonna die." Naturally, semi-conscious me thought that this thing was me, and I started to incoherently yell for the nurses to unplug whatever they needed to in order to find an outlet to keep me alive. Turns out it was the battery for the laptop that was gonna die. Apparently the death rate of ACL repair is pretty low. During my wisdom teeth surgery, they were playing music, and Billie Jean comes on, and I said, "Glad Michael Jackson could join us." And that was the last thing I could remember. After getting my wisdom teeth removed, I looked at my mother-in-law and said, "How did you get on my rocket ship?" When I was about to go out for surgery, they were strapping me down and told me that it was so I don't fall off the table. My last words were, "It's okay, 5-second rule." I went under for nasal canal surgery, and apparently after the surgery I was holding onto the nurse's hand repeating, "I love you, don't leave me," over and over. My wife is an anesthesiologist, and her best line from a patient is, "This is better than meth." My dad works with that stuff. Funniest thing he's heard is, "Hey Mr. Doctor, my ass itches and I'm too high to scratch." No, he didn't help. The dude passed out right after. My wife couldn't take me to my first colonoscopy due to work, and so my mother did. And apparently, coming out of anesthesia, when they were removing my IV, I told the nurse, "Oh, that's neat. I've taken a lot of those out, but I've never had it done to me, and my patients were always dead." Apparently, she looked very concerned by this information, and my mother had to explain that I've been a licensed funeral director for many years, and hospitals and other facilities often do not remove the tubing. Apparently, I then followed that up by telling the young nurse that she had a nice butt, but not as nice as my wife's. My mother felt free to share that with everyone. So yeah, I creeped out a nurse by talking about my occupation, and then even more by commenting on her butt in a backhanded compliment. Good job, guy. I broke my hand tumbling once and had to get surgery. He goes to put the mask on my face and says, "This is oxygen." I cough as the mask goes on. He pulls the mask away and I said, "I trusted you, you lying fuck." That's the last thing I remember. Thank you for watching the lore of the internet, and if you remember any of the things you said while you were under gas, be sure to let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe. And as always, see you in the next episode.